So I like to work with symmetry when I do a hair up. So once I place one side in, I always go back and place the other. So I'm just going to section the hair off. This also, because I've set it slightly with a direction, it's already fallen with the hair slightly heavier to this side. So I'm just going to work with that. Again, when I did my heated roller set, like we do with the Lee Stafford version, we all, it's really good to keep your sections really neat and balanced to the size of your roller. You don't want to overstretch your sections and have too much hair, because you won't get that root lift and you won't get the curl to the hair. So the curl to the hair just makes the hair so much workable when you are doing your hair ups. So I'm just pinning the sides out the way, slightly like a hot cross bun, just with the front two sections, and then I'm going to bring the rest of the hair back. So I'm using a back combing comb to do all my work with. I might pick up a pintail comb, but generally throughout a hair up, this is the comb I would always use. And then I'm using a hair up brush. So this brush is a soft paddled brush, and the bristles are really nice and soft as well, but they're also firm. There's enough in there that it's going to give, it's going to brush out any back combing that sits on the top, but it's not going to rake through the hair and take out back combing as well. So they're the two instruments you should use. So I'm just going to section the hair off from the top of the ear all the way across the back. And then I'm going to spin around so you can see it. Okay, so I've just worked that it is going from the top of the ear all the way round from one side to the other. Because I'm going to do this hair up that I want to sit it on one side, I'm not going to section it straight down the middle and work one side to the other. We're going to come off the centre and over to the left hand side. So I'm just going to section out a little bit of hair, about 1 inch wide here, and pin that up and out of the way. And then this side, as you can see, has just got a lot more hair that we're going to pin up and out of the way here. Right then, so through this section, I'm going to back comb the hair. So by back combing the hair, using obviously the back combing comb, I don't know if you can see this, but in the comb here, you can just see it's got, through the comb teeth, it's actually got smaller teeth in there, and that's what produces the back combing through the hair. So there's no point doing back combing with a normal cutting comb, because you don't get that right effect. This is what will give the back combing good firm hold as we go, and it won't damage the cuticle either. So by holding the comb with my thumb and 2 fingers on either side, I'm just going to work myself from the middle of the hair. You don't want to back comb the ends, and I'm just going to push the hair down towards the root, taking the comb out, putting it in again and pushing it down towards the root. Now as you do this and you work it through the hair, what you should see develop is like an S-shape pattern. I don't know if it's going to be enough that you can see it, but I'll try and show you. So through here, there's started to develop this S-shaped pattern with the back combing, and that is what you want to see when you're doing that. That's where you know you've got it right. If you was then to comb this out, you could just literally work it from the mid-length back down to the ends and comb it out, or you can use your soft paddle brush, and that brings it all out, and there's no damage to that section at all. I'm just going to quickly put a bit of backcombing through this area. Okay. So through there, I've just got a nice bit of backcombing. You can see how the hair is standing away from the head on its own. And what I'm going to do now is just show you how to apply that band into the hair. So by creating sort of a ponytail through this area is going to give you a good sort of foundation area to work from and build from to create your hair up. So I've just gone around and gripped that section with my left hand, and then with my right, because I'm right-handed, I'm going to slide the clip into the hair. Now the back comb is going to hold that grip in there nice and firmly, and then I'm just going to pull the band around, holding it with my left hand as I go, and then I want to put the other grip in the opposite direction, and that creates a ponytail. Obviously I wouldn't suggest going straight in with the band and creating a ponytail, because these are plastic. Again, it's going to damage the hair quite a bit. So by having the curvy grip on either side, you're protecting the hair of it being snagged out and ripping and causing any discomfort. Now because this side's got more hair, I'm going to work prominently that I'm going to pull this hair across first, and then we're going to see what we're left with on this side. As I work through each section, I'm just going to add in a little bit of backcombing as I go. Now on the other section I did the backcombing and I worked down the hair horizontally, but this time I'm just going to work it vertically because the hair is going to be moving across vertically. Again, I don't want to put too much backcombing in there, and I'm just picking up all the fluffy bits with the fork end of my comb. So just making sure all these nice bits of hair are coming up and into the style, but without dragging a brush through the hair and making it too solid and firm. These fork prongs at the end of your backcombing comb are a lovely way to do that. So I've just secured that on the top of the ponytail area with a pin to both sections. And now I'm just going to do exactly the same with this section of hair that we left out as well. And I'm just going to wrap it over the top of the ponytail again and fix it to sit in around that area. So again, because there's quite a lot of backcombing in there, these grips are going in nice and firm. They're not slipping at all. And that's the other thing that the backcombing helps, is to hold the grips into the hair. So I'm just going to work my way through this whole back section. Splitting it again, just where the crown would be. So looking at where that ponytail sits in the hair is where I've divided it. So again, the right hand side of the head has got a lot more hair on it compared to the left hand. So I'm just going to pin the left hand one out the way. And then through here we need to think about how we want the hair to come down and sit. So we want to keep bringing it over to the left hand side, but maybe now we want to start directing it downwards rather than as well as across, sorry. And because we're bringing the hair down, I'm just going to put that back comb in again in a horizontal fashion. And I'm just going to pin the hair underneath where the ponytail is. So really this is about sort of building your foundations now of the hair up. It's a bit, I always say it's a bit like a puzzle. So on a puzzle you start with your 4 corner pieces and you build in, whereas this is kind of the opposite to that. You want to start with your main focus, the centre, and then you're going to work your way out and then, but keep the balance as you go. The other thing I'm doing is I'm trying to hide as many pins as I can, because what we don't want to see is the exposure of these pins through the hair. It just looks quite unprofessional on a finished image. Again, I'm going to bring this left hand side over and fix it in. So the one thing I did learn myself this week was I was watching quite a lot of videos of people doing hair ups and giving them a go myself, especially the plaiting ones, because there's so many different ways of plaiting. I wanted to give them a try, and there's one that the hair sort of, you put 2 plaits and then you weave hair through it and things like that. It looked incredible. But the one thing I did find was actually the doll's heads that some people are using in their videos are just incredibly high quality. And I messaged Pivot Point, who sell all these doll's heads, and they're credited through VTCT and things like that. And when I inquired what doll's head these videos had, it was actually a doll's head that cost £250. And obviously I didn't quite fancy going for that, so I bought this little beauty, and she was 37. So, you know, we have to go with the budget that we've got, but we can still create lovely things out of it. But don't feel disappointed if you can't create it as amazing as what you're seeing through all the videos, because sometimes it is the quality of the doll's head. If the doll's hair isn't quite as long or isn't quite as thick, this one is longer than the other ones I have, and it's slightly thicker, but again it's nothing quite like what they were using on the videos that they would show him. So what I've done through here is I've just worked everything slightly over to the left, and through this top section I've just given it a little bit of back comb and creating a bit of height, and then smoothed it in and pinned it in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave all this hair down for the moment, because it's going to give me something to play with after, to create the style and to cover the pins. So the more challenging side is going to be the right hand side, because it's got a lot further to stretch. So I'm going to start on that side first, because if anything it might not stretch far enough and you might have a few pins exposed this side. So it's going to show us how much we need to cover up, especially if the hair isn't as long as what this one is, or again what you're seeing in other videos. So one thing I've learnt from doing bridal hair is in photos, if you take solid hard lines around the face, they sometimes can be exposed if the hair is slightly thin or if it's blonde and it's slightly more see-through. So the one thing I always like to do is take diagonal sections through the sides, because that just softens it. And you can overlap them slightly rather than taking solid horizontal lines and pulling them round. You don't want gaps to be seen and the scalp to show through. So through this side, again, it depends on how your doll's heads are plugged or how a human's hair sits, but you might want to work your way either up from the ear to the top of the head or down from the front of the face to the back of the ear. This doll's head, from how I split it, looks like it's going to work better for me by taking it from the ear to the top of the head. So what I'm going to do is just take that sliver through there and pin the hair up out the way whilst I work with this one. Again, I'm going to give it a nice little bit of back combing. And I'm just going to move the hair around. I'm going to show you as I go. So I haven't put loads of back combing in there. I don't want it to sit too wide on the sides. And we're just going to keep this quite low and soft through here. So I'm just pulling it over the bottom of this back area and I'm going to pin it underneath the ponytail. So on this style, from how I sketched it, I'm not leaving any hair down. So again, I'm just going to go through this section here. Give it a little bit of back combing around that root area. And I'm just working the prongs of the comb through the hair. And again, I'm just letting the hair sort of do what it's doing naturally, but I am manipulating it slightly. And I'm just going to pull that around again. And then I'm going to pin it into the side of the ponytail. Because the hair is quite long on this doll, it is stretching around really nicely. So I'm just going to secure this one with 2 pins, and that's purely because I can feel there's a few pins around that area and I don't want one to push another one out. So this is all sitting quite smooth and soft through here. So now the only side we've got left to do is this one. And again, I'm going to work through this side, taking diagonal sections as I go. Obviously there's more hair this side, so we're going to be taking more sections. So this is where we're going to find that we've got quite a lot of hair now building up at the back, and it's finding the right placement for it. Obviously, if I was working, I would be using a mirror in front of me, looking for sort of symmetry to either side of the hair, and also of how the sides are sitting, making sure they're nice and balanced and even, the fact that one's not lower than the other and things like that. So again, I'm just going to pop a pin into there to secure it. I'm going to take another diagonal section through here. So going back to the heated rollers, if you were doing a bridal party and you was doing a bride and a couple of bridesmaids on your own, in heated rollers rather than, I see quite a lot of people now that just GHD tong the hair and things like that rather than putting heated rollers in. But for me, heated rollers are just brilliant because if you are doing 2 or 3 people at the same time, you can literally put heated rollers in all of them. They can go off, have their makeup done whilst you're doing one hair, and you know you haven't got to work through and spend that half an hour, 20 minutes curling each person's hair before you do each hair up. So by getting heated rollers, putting their hair in set, they can go off whilst you're working through the rest of the party, and it just saves you a lot more time towards the end where you're not rushing and things like that. So again, I'm just working this section round, and I'm going to pin it on top of that other section because it's sitting quite nicely there. And then this is the final section to be pinned in. So I'm just going to take this one, because there's quite a lot now building up on top, and bring it down through this side. Again, I'm just using the prongs of my comb, and I'm just smoothing it in. And again, that's just sort of raking through the hair. It's not dragging it at all. I'm not pulling it at the root. It's just raking it in. So that one's just sitting underneath. So the front has got a quite good symmetry of how the hair's falling sort of down each side, and the width of it is still quite symmetrical, even though this side's got a lot more hair. With the back comb in, you can see that it's still quite balanced from either side. So through this back section, I'm just going to go down eye line with it. The other thing I've got on my arm is a magnet, and these are really good. So if you are working away from a station, or you're doing somebody's hair up in a hotel room before they get married, and there's equipment and bits everywhere and there isn't quite enough room, something like this is quite a nice idea. It keeps your tools with you. You can attach your comb to it with the metal prongs, your section grips, as well as your grips for the hair wrap. So I'm just coming down eye line because I want to see where this is being placed. So we know that this hair is going to sit slightly over to the left hand side, so I'm going to start by working from the right over to the left. I'm just, with the curl that's in there from the heated roller, it's already doing half the job for me through here. Just going to see if I can bring it a bit closer for you to see. So as I pick this hair up, it's already looping itself over. So just by grabbing the ends and holding it in with your thumb and working it round and in, you can just roll it up really softly, nicely, because of the curl that the heated roller has already put in there for you. And once it's in, you can stretch the hair out and have a little play with it. Now I'm just going to work my way around the back, having a little play with the hair that's there and creating my final look. Again, we all have our preferred hair ups. There are so many like real soft hair ups now, and they do scare the life out of me because they look too soft that they're not going to stay all day for a bride, some of them. But I am quite a symmetrical worker. I like to see the symmetry in the hair. I like to see the softness, but as well, you know, most of the hair ups that I produce are very sort of sturdy looking, quite solid, rather than these soft ones that you're seeing at the minute. So again, it's just the preferred. I love these barrel curls in the hair. And again, it's quite a classic look. I don't think it'll ever go out. I do think the soft one may eventually work out. We see a lot of plaits now as well. And hopefully next week, if we do some more live lessons, by me having a little play around now, I've got this new doll's head, I can show you some new style plaits as well, which will be quite fun and interesting. So I'm just rollering up the final few to complete the look. And this one underneath, I'm just going to roller it the other way. And actually, now I've done that, I don't like the balance of this side, so I'm just going to take that one section out and roller that one the other way as well. So the one thing I would obviously be doing on a human head is using lots of hairspray. I don't really want to do that on a doll's head because the product build-up is a nightmare, and washing these doll's heads isn't the funnest thing to do in the world because they're not quite easy. So adding things like hairspray is not brilliant for them, but we do it when we're doing obviously our learning for the Lee Stafford, like pony up rolls and stuff, because it just gets us really familiar with using the right products for the right styles. Hairsprays, I would definitely recommend the Owlnet hairspray because that's really easy to brush out the hair. It's really soft, and it's workable with your tools as well. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going through with these real fine pins, and I'm just making sure the hair is nice and secure in there. So I will give it a little spray with the Owlnet, and that's just going to help hold that style in there. So just going to see if I can bring the camera a little bit closer, flip it round. So you can see how really nice and smooth these sides are. You can see the bounce in there with the back combing as well, and where this has created nice height, and hopefully the rolls sort of complement that height quite nicely. So again, quite soft on the side coming down. So that's the style that we created with that one. So what I'm really going to quickly do, flip my camera again, sorry, is show you on the other head I prepped. So this is the head we put the hair extensions in, and what I've done is very similar. Started with a ponytail through the back, worked my way symmetrically across the back, and then with a bit of height through this top section. Obviously I haven't backcombed this hair too much because it's got the hair extensions in it, but again it's kind of a nice way to show you that with the taped hair you can still do lots of diverse things with the hair. Because of the way that we applied them in, you can't see any exposure of the tape through the back and sides either. So if you was adding some barrel curls and the client's hair wasn't quite thick enough, show you with one of my tape hair extensions. So you could get a bit of fake hair, and the thing that I tend to do then is just wind the hair around 2 fingers. And then when you've got that bottom section, so you've got that barrel curl, you can literally just get a pin, slide it into the hair, and then do the same into the back of the head. And then that just fills a gap with some extra hair in there if the client hasn't got quite enough. So you can order a set of either tape hair extensions or the actual clip-in ones and cut them down and barrel wind them up and then fill the hair up in that manner. So what I'm going to quickly show you on the top, so I've left the sides down purposely, because through the top here I'm just going to show you how to place the tiara in the hair and how to fix it. A lot of tiaras will come with these hoops on the side, and again there's enough room through there for you to fit your grip in. Sometimes they don't, and you just might have to go across the band and put a grip, but it might need one either way to hold it if it hasn't got the loops on the end. So I'm just going to place this into the head where we want it to sit. I'm going to put it on the top of the head, and then just find those loops at the end, and I'm going to pin a grip either side, and that's just going to really hold the tiara in the hair firmly, so it's not got too much movement at all through there, and it's nice and sturdy. So that's literally how you would fix that tiara into the head. Again, with a bit of back combing and with the grips going in, it's going to hold it really nicely. So I'm just going to quickly finish this hair up off and then show you how to fix in the tiara. Sorry, the veil. So I've really softly just pinned up one side, and I'm going to quickly do the other. This doll had pre-curls in her hair from when we finished the hair extensions. I just curled it through to blend it a little bit nicer. Okay, So with your veil, they all come on a comb that will slide into the hair, and it tends to have sort of a curvature to it, and that will work with the head. You can either apply them in a couple of directions. You could push it up into the bottom of the style and have the veil sitting under the head where the hair is exposed, and then if you wanted to grip that in, you would just put a pin either side of the comb that's going through the head and pin it in, so one side and then the other. Or you could go into the top of the hair again, so you would flip it over the other way so the curvature went with the top of the head. And I'm just going to try and do it so you can see this. And you could push it into the style, and again this would then sit over the top of the hair, and then you would use a pin either side to hold the comb into the hair. Obviously, depending on how heavy veils are, if this was a real heavy material and it was really long, what you don't want it to do is squash the hair that's underneath. So you need to think about that, obviously, in your consultation with your bride. How heavy and how long is the veil? This one's obviously only a very short veil, but you wouldn't want anything that was too heavy and long to sit and squash the hair underneath. Okay, so I think I pretty much covered everything I wanted to show you today. I hope that you picked up a few tricks, even if it's from the bands by putting the grips in, or whether it's how to secure hair into the head, a veil or a tiara, or whether you just gives you a new idea of a hair up, something to play with really. But has anybody got any questions they would like to ask? No? Okay, well if you do and you don't want to ask in front of other people, then please do message me, because I'm happy to answer any. I'm hoping to sort out a few live lessons for next week. Hopefully there'll be one on Monday at 10:30, but again I'll send everybody an invite. If you'd like to join in that lesson and you're available to, then please do. If you have any suggestions or to see, obviously I'd love to take those on board and see what you're interested in. I'm going to have a bit more of a play with a few different plaits now I've got my new doll's head, and hopefully I can show you something a bit fun and inspiring with those. But yeah, so hopefully I'll see you again next week. I'll send you all a new calendar invite, but like I said, please stay in touch, ask any questions you would like. I'll try and get back to you. Amy, I know I need to answer your question from yesterday. Sorry, I had a slightly busy afternoon, so I'll message you after this. But yeah, I'm more than happy, and I'm on hand at any time. So just send your messages through and I'll get back to you, and I'll hopefully see you next week. So thank you for joining on a bank holiday, and I do appreciate it, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah.
Thank you. Have a lovely weekend.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.